Has there ever been a better boot up noise? Maybe, but the PlayStation 1 is a console that changed gaming forever. The first CD-based powerhouse jumping forward into 3D polygon mystery. Even decades later, many of its games still hold a special place in my nostalgic heart. But let's be honest, not all of them have aged gracefully. Today, I'm sharing my personal list of the top 5 PS1 games that are still a blast to play. You want to pretend to be a pirate in a 2.5D style open sea, slow-paced action adventure game? Then, well, go ahead actually. Overboard is pretty fun. But it won't be on this list because this is my list. Now, before we get into it, quick disclaimer, I'm not the biggest fan of racing games or RPGs, and I feel in this era they've aged much less gracefully. So you won't be seeing the likes of Final Fantasy VII, even though 9 was better anyway, or Gran Turismo 1 or 2. This is my list again, and it's about the games that are just as fun now as they were back then. So in fact, why don't you comment your top 3 PS1 games down below before we watch the rest of this video, and hopefully I get a few of them right and we have some common ground there. If not, I'll definitely be playing some of your recommendations as well. And the final side note here is that all of this video's footage was recorded by me using the DuckStation emulator. I do have all of these games and I own them all, and I have a collection of hundreds of PlayStation 1 games and all other systems, but I just find emulation so much easier these days, especially on PC. If you haven't got a big bulky CRT TV and your old console set up on it, it's just a very quick, easy way to play these old classic games. No messing around really. You can tweak the settings exactly as you like it, have it look very, very similar to as if you were back in 1999 with scan lines and a 4:3 aspect ratio, or as I prefer from this footage that you're seeing, 4K upscaled in widescreen. Without further ado, let's get into the top 5. And this list is in order, and kicking off with number 5 is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Released back in 2000, this game took skateboarding to another level, quite literally. With its iconic soundtrack, smooth controls, addictive gameplay, it's no wonder why it became a cultural phenomenon and a surprising top seller for the console of all time. What makes it still playable today is its simplicity. Even if you've never touched a skateboard in real life, pulling off tricks in this game feels natural and rewarding. The levels are well designed, offering a perfect mix of challenge and freedom to explore. Racking up combos and beating each level's specific goals is just a joy to be had. Sure, the graphics are a bit outdated now, but the gameplay holds up so well. And all those classic songs that I won't be playing here because of copyright, they still slap. Whether you're grinding rails or perfecting combos, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 remains an absolute joy to play. While there is now a Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remake that's been released in recent years, just something slightly missing from that shiny polish that they put over it, and I feel like this game just flows better. Coming in at number 4 is Tekken 3, one of the best fighting games not just on the PS1 but of all time. Released even further back in 1998, Tekken 3 revolutionized 3D fighting games with its fluid animation, responsive controls, and an iconic roster of characters. What makes Tekken 3 timeless is how easy it is to pick up and play, but also hard to master, whether you're mashing buttons with friends or perfecting advanced combos. The gameplay remains engaging, and that cast of fighters, from the flashy martial arts of Jin to the breakdancing madness of Eddie Gordo, or even the crazy randomness of Gon or Panda. This game had everything needed to keep you coming back time and time again. It's also worth mentioning not only did it have the arcade and survival mode, but it brought a new Tekken Force kind of pseudo 3D adventure fighting game as well, for tons of replayability, and also an unlockable Tekken Bowling, which was a huge favourite of mine. Sure, modern Tekken games look better, but Tekken 3's gameplay is as tight and as satisfying as ever. Number 3 here, we have Silent Hill, a game that defined psychological horror. Silent Hill, released in 1999. This game wasn't just about jump scares, it was about atmosphere, it was about tension, it was about storytelling. Even today, few games manage to capture the sheer dread that Silent Hill delivers. The foggy streets, the haunting sound design, that radio static when monsters are nearby, it all works together to create an experience that sticks with you long after you put down the controller. What makes Silent Hill still playable is its ability to get under your skin. The graphics are dated, but there's a certain retro charm to them that still make them hold up even today. The unsettling environments and disturbing enemy designs hold up because of their creativity. If you've never played it, and I had only actually played this recently for the first time properly, now is your time to go and turn off the lights and crank up the volume. Dive into one of the most terrifying games ever made. And with its recent remake of the sequel, Silent Hill 2, I'm just baffled why this game wasn't remade first. It still holds up incredibly well. Coming in at number 2, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, the pinnacle of 3D platforming on the PS1 in my opinion. Released in 1998, this game redefined everything that made the first 2 Crash games great and added even more variety. While slightly less challenging in general, the time attack modes added made that extra goal for those that needed something a bit more hardcore. What makes Crash 3 stand out is its incredible level design and pacing. One moment it's standard platforming, the next minute you're head-on dodging boulders, the next minute you're riding a tiger or flying an aeroplane. It's just incredible. After each world, Crash earns an upgrade to improve his movement typically, and opens up the game at a steady pace, making you feel like you're getting better as a player as he's becoming more enhanced as a character. The controls are super tight and responsive, and the challenge is just right. It's not too easy, as I said, but it's not frustratingly hard like in the first Crash Bandicoot game as well. And let's not forget the humour. Crash's goofy animations and the quirky boss fights are just as charming today as they were back then. Whether you're revisiting the game for nostalgia or playing it for the first time, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped is a platforming masterpiece that still feels fresh today. Just as a quick little side note, I almost put CTR Crash Team Racing on this list instead of Crash 3 because again, everything I kind of said in terms of the endearment of Crash 3 I have for Crash Team Racing, and they both, funnily enough, got remakes that I just don't think quite hit the mark of the classics going back and playing them. But I had to put this platformer in. I do think it is a better game overall, but CTR is just a classic too. And here we are, number 1, the legendary Metal Gear Solid. Released in 1998, this game, it blew my mind as a child. Probably the first game that I was ever actually addicted to. I just played it over and over again, trying to find new secrets and listen to new voiceover lines, scanning through my magazines back in the day to try and find new hints, tips, tricks, things I hadn't thought of. Just, there's so much variety in this game, it's just insane. I even used the plot as a baseline for an English paper that I had to write in school. In fact, I thought I was being so clever using the storyline from Metal Gear Solid, but changing everyone's name from this game into the skateboarders from Tony Hawk games. It kind of marries up this whole list together. This game redefined what video games could be, blending cinematic storytelling with stealth gameplay. Metal Gear Solid isn't just a game, it's an experience. Voice acting, the plot twist, the innovative boss fights, everything about this game is way ahead of its time and still holds up incredibly well today. Remember that Psycho Mantis fight? How could you forget it? He reads your memory card, or he tells you he can control your mind and put your controller on the floor, and then he can move it around and it obviously vibrates. It's just moments like this is why Metal Gear Solid is still revered today, and I just replayed it recently and it's so good. even by modern standards, the gameplay still holds up. Sneaking past the guards, using the gadgets, using your weapons, figuring out the best way to approach each little mission or section of the game. It's just as rewarding now as it was back in 1998. Sure, the graphics are blocky, the art direction though, along with the music and the atmosphere, it more than makes up for it. There's, again, just a charm to these PS1 graphics when they're done well, and Metal Gear Solid is done well. This game is a masterpiece that every gamer should experience, and it absolutely deserves this top spot.
Meryl, are you okay?
Yeah.
And there you have it, my list of the top 5 PS1 games that are still worth playing today. Whether you're revisiting these classics or discovering them for the first time, these games prove that great gameplay and creativity never goes out of style. So again, what did you think of this list? How many of them did I get right that are on your list as well? What favourites did I miss that you're probably screaming at me that X, Y, and Z should be on there? Resident Evil 2 perhaps. Don't think it is a classic. Don't think it plays that well these days, especially when the remakes are actually probably a little bit better. Anyway, let me know down in the comments, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because more gaming content will be coming your way. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.